When I was around 9 years old, my friend who was my immediate neighbor and I were playing basketball in my front yard. We noticed a small, whitish gray car parked across the street in a position such that its windshield was facing our house. Inside the car was a middle-aged man, clearly pointing a camera at us. I stared for a while and squinted because I was trying to see if he was actually photographing us, or maybe just reviewing photos on the camera while holding it oddly. After watching for a while, it was obvious that he was pressing the clicker, photographing us. My friend and I immediately went inside, decided for some reason not to tell my mother, and went up to my room. Anywhere from 30 minutes, 1 hour later, my mom asked my friend and I if we could deliver a box of cookies to my neighbor's house. We agreed, and as for me at least, I had forgotten entirely about the prior incident. I guess because I was 9 having fun with my friend. We walked up the stairs to the woman's house with the cookies and rang the doorbell, but she wasn't home. When we turned around, there was the man in his car. He had parked along the curb right at the entrance of the stairway leading up to the woman's house, so that we couldn't walk down the stairs and up the sidewalk without coming in direct contact with his car. I still remember the absolute feeling of dread and panic that filled me, and we immediately began banging on the woman's door and frantically ringing the doorbell to no avail. That man rolled down his passenger seat side window and began talking to us. He said, "Clara," and that's my friend's name. "It's me, Harry." I looked to my friend and could tell that she didn't really recognize him, but the fact that he was claiming to be someone she knew, talking to us and not immediately pursuing us, made me calm down a little. He proceeded to say that he had lived in the house across the street from hers and had a daughter her age that she used to play with when she was a baby. Interestingly enough, Clara said that there was in fact a family who lived there who had a young kid she played with, so that checked out. She said that she couldn't recognize the man though, but given the fact that she was 5 when they moved and 3 when they used to have contact, it's not likely that she would have recognized him, even if he was who he said he was. He proceeded to say that he was photographing us to show to his daughter, who missed her, and said that he was going to record us. He took his camera out again and began recording us in a very interview-like fashion, saying, "Hi, what's your name? What do you like to do for fun?" I know for a fact that I told him where I lived in this interaction, though I can't remember if he asked me that directly or if I volunteered for it. I think the elation I felt over the fact that he didn't immediately kidnap us made me way too open with him. He videoed us for roughly 30 minutes to 1 hour. Then he drove away. This story honestly gets more disturbing to me the older I get. There is no way this man, the self-proclaimed old neighbor to my friend, was videoing us because his daughter was nostalgic for a friend she had when she was 3. Why was he back in the neighborhood? Where was his family? There was no reason to wait outside our houses for hours just to film us after already photographing us without our consent. It makes me sick to think about what was done with those photos. Who is this man who knows all the young girls of the neighborhood, past and present, and what did he do with those photos and videos? This was several years ago now when I was in college, and I was headed back to my apartment late one night after being out with my friends. As I went to make a left turn into the complex, I checked to see if anyone was behind me, and since No one was in front of me or behind me. I opted not to worry about using the turn signal. I parked outside my building and I was crossing the street to get to my apartment. A car was driving towards me. I wondered where it had come from since I was sure no one was near me when I turned in. But I was only 18, very sheltered and naive. And instead of being cautious or fearful, I wanted to be helpful. The car stopped approximately 16 feet away or so, and I was right in the middle of the street. A man got out and asked, "Do you live here?" I thought maybe he needed directions, and I told him that I did live here. As he asked this, he was walking towards me, and as soon as I answered, he lunged at me, grabbed a handful of my hair in his right hand and grabbed my throat in his left hand and started dragging me to his car as he growled, "He's gonna cut my neck." To say I was in shock was an understatement. His car was running with an open door, and it wasn't until I was at his door before my brain literally used my name and said, "Caitlin, scream." Once I finally started screaming, he pushed me away while he jumped in his car and took off. So I ran to my apartment. I was shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the lock, and once I was inside, I realized my boyfriend was there because he'd come by earlier in the night to surprise me. But since I wasn't home, he'd gone on to bed. Of course, I was still freaking out, but instead of him being concerned, he acted like an ass because he was upset I was coming in so late, so I didn't even call the police. Once I told my mom the next day, she insisted I call them, but of course nothing ever came out of it. I often wondered what the guy thought I did that I deserved to have my neck being cut. I'm sure it wasn't because I didn't use the turn signal, so I even wondered where he came from. I never wanted to meet him again, and I always hoped no one else did either.